Assalamu alaikum. എല്ലാവർക്കും MMACന്റെ വെൽക്കം ടു റമദാൻ 2021ലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. ഞാൻ നിസ ഹാരിസ്. നമ്മള് വളരെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സമയത്താണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഉള്ളത്. ഈ പാൻഡമിക്കിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ കൂടി അള്ളാഹുവിന്റെ അനുഗ്രഹം കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ ഒരു ബ്ലെസ്ഡ് മന്തിന്റെ വാതിക്കൽ വരെ എത്തി നിൽക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോ MMAC ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നതിന്റെ ഉദ്ദേശം തന്നെ എങ്ങനെ റമദാനെ നമുക്ക് എസ്പെഷ്യലി ഈ സമയത്ത് എങ്ങനെ അതിന്റെ മാക്സിമം യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും എന്ന് നമുക്ക് കുറച്ച് ടിപ്സ് ഒക്കെ കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം ഇപ്പം കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് അൽഹംദുലില്ലാ നമുക്ക് ഏറ്റവും എന്താ പറയാ നമ്മുടെ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയുടെ സ്വന്തം ഷെയ്ഖ്, നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും എന്താ സുപരിചിതനായ ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് കുട്ടിയാണ് ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ഒപ്പം ഉള്ളത്. സോ അദ്ദേഹത്തോട് നമുക്ക് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ സ്പീച്ച് ലിസൺ ചെയ്യാം, പിന്നെ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനോട് നമുക്കുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് എല്ലാം ചോദിക്കാം ഇൻഷാ അല്ലാഹ്. സോ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒന്നുകൂടി വെൽക്കം റമദാൻ 2021 ബൈ MMAC പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബിനെ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും, അതായത് ഇപ്പൊ കുറച്ച് നാളായിട്ട് ഇവിടെ കാനഡയിലുള്ളവർക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അദ്ദേഹം വളരെ സുപരിചിതനാണ്. പക്ഷേ മാഷാ അല്ലാഹ് നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് ന്യൂ കമേഴ്സ് ഇപ്പം വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ വരുന്നവർക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് പരിചയം ഉണ്ടായിക്കൊള്ളുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോ ഞാൻ ചെറിയ ഒരു ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ പറ്റി തരാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുകയാണ്. ഓക്കെ, ചെറിയൊരു ഇൻട്രോ ആണ്, ഇംഗ്ലീഷിലാണ്. അപ്പൊ അത് ഞാനത് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യാണ്. ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് കുട്ടി was educated in the traditional Islamic sciences at Islamia College, Kerala, and at the Islamic University of Medina Munawwara. He received his ijazas as an alim and fiqh from both India and Saudi Arabia. He earned his MA from the University of Toronto and pursued doctoral studies at McGill University, Montreal. Over the past 4 decades, he has been director of the Islamic Center of Toronto, director of the Islamic Foundation Toronto, Canada, and has served on the Fiqh Council of North America. Currently, Sheikh Ahmed Kutti is resident scholar and senior lecturer at the Islamic Institute of Toronto. ഇതൊരു ചെറിയ ഒരു ഇൻട്രോ ആണ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ട്. സോ ഇൻഷാല്ലാ നമുക്ക് ഇനി അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് എന്താ പറയാനുള്ളതെന്ന് കേൾക്കാം. സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാലോ അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബേ?
ഇൻഷാല്ലാ.
ഓക്കെ, ശരി. സോ ഓവർ ടു യു.
ബിസ്മില്ലാഹിർ റഹ്മാനിർ റഹീം. അൽഹംദുലില്ലാഹി റബ്ബിൽ ആലമീൻ. വസ്സലാത്തു വസ്സലാമു അലാ സയ്യിദിൽ അംബിയാഇ വൽ മുർസലീൻ മുഹമ്മദിൻ വആലിഹി വസഹ്ബിഹി അജ്മഈൻ. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. We turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in humble supplication. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima 'allamtana. Ya Allah, teach us that which is beneficial for us and bless us in the knowledge you have granted us and increase our knowledge. First of all, I apologize. I am speaking English, inshallah. All of you know English. Although I am from Kerala, but I left in 1968. So after that, I did not use Malayalam much in conveying ideas. So I am more comfortable in English, inshallah. So you can ask the question if you want in Malayalam, and I will try to answer in Malayalam as well, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah, all of us are welcoming the great guest of honor, Ramadan, which is knocking at our door. Inshallah, if we go by the calculation method, which we have decided to follow after many years of battle on the ground here, I attended so many seminars in Chicago, in Washington, in New York, about the moon sighting issue. Various scholars from all over North America and from outside also attended. We discussed, and we faced a lot of problems. In Jami Mosque, we used to book Eid for 3 days because mosque could not accommodate. So 3 days we had to book the place, C&E. This was a practical, issue. So we decided, after considering deeply the teaching of the Quran and the fiqh, to go by calculation. And this is the method that would make everything easy for us, people living in North America. And it is going to be the way, if you study fiqh, that is the way fiqh evolves. I researched about it. So anyway, this is not the topic I'm going to discuss. So by calculation, our Ramadan is going to start on Tuesday, inshallah, 13th of April, inshallah. And Eid al-Adha will be, Eid al-Fitr will be 13th of May, inshallah. Now, coming to Ramadan, I want to answer, I want to make my talk brief. I would answer what, why, and how. These are humble servants we can use in our study. You write a thesis, 7 humble servants, what, why, how, this is. So what is Ramadan? What is fasting? Actually, the answer is very simple. It is one of the 5 important pillars in Islam. This is like a tent. The whole Islam, came in a desert milieu. And when you build a tent, there is a central pole, which is the Tawheed, which is the central pole of the tent of Islam. And then there are 4 pillars: prayer, Zakah, Salah, Zakah, Siyam, and Hajj. If you, all of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created species of jinn and mankind except to worship me, for worshiping me. So Ibadah, all of these are called Ibadat. Tawheed is the cornerstone. Everything is like a nucleus. Okay? It's like a blood running through all these, 4 pillars. So the first pillar is Salah, which calls you to the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where we commune with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala direct. This is a beautiful thing about Islam. It dispenses with the intermediaries and it brings us face to face with our Creator. This is the greatest honor, dignity for human being. It's the liberation, freeing us from bondage to idols, superstitions, heroes and kings and whatnot. So man stands before his Lord and confesses to his Lord, and that will energize, that will impart in him a sense of consciousness and mindfulness and accountability before the Creator. This is day in and day out. You have the 5 daily prayers and you have other sunan and nawafil. The second pillar is Zakah. When you approach each of these pillars in Islam, it has various dimensions. It has a physical dimension, the format, cleansing, washing. But you see, even each of these has a spiritual dimension. When it talks about wudu, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you wash your face, sins committed by the face is washed away. When you wash your mouth, sins committed by the mouth is washed away. So like that. So it has a physical dimension, is a spiritual dimension, is a social dimension, because you gather in congregation, male and, the rich or poor, black or white, all stand shoulder to shoulder. The social dimension is there. Of course, I don't want to go so deeper into that. The same with Zakah. Zakah is another, it purges your, greed, overcome it. You should not be controlled by that wealth. And you become master of the wealth. Instead of wealth owning you, you own that wealth and you purify, you curb that greed, which when is uncontrolled, it will create the havoc which is happening all over the world. Even in this pandemic is because of the greed, and which has gone out of control and affecting adversely the environment, the use of resources and everything. So Zakah has the dimension, It's the other dimension is sharing the blessings with fellow human beings. The wealth is given to you as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You must share it with fellow human beings. The next is Siyam, which is all these other meanings are taken to another level here. Many people look at fasting as a physical thing, abstention from food and drink and sexual gratification. But the deeper meaning of fasting is, it is telling us that you are not that material body. You as a human being is the real essence, is the spiritual, the breath of the divine breath. The mold, the physical mold is from the clay. And water, that is not the essence, because when you die, the physical body is there, but the soul is gone. And that soul is what is the essence of human being. So fasting will deepen our spiritual awareness. Of course, I'm going to come to this a little. Now, next is the Hajj, which takes it to the higher level. In the local masjid for 5 daily prayer, you gather with that in that village mosque or city mosque. But in Eidgah, once a year, you gather with all of the cathedral mosque or Jawami, people must gather there once a year or twice a year. And then once in your lifetime, you gather with the entire human family. So from a tribalistic mindset, Islam takes you to that universal, to recognize that you are part of that human family. Now, these are the 5 pillars, and fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. Fasting has been enjoined on you as it was enjoined on nations before you. What's the purpose? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, to nurture consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How? Because when you stay away from food and drink and gratifications, day in and day out, it's repeated, the action is repeated, and you are asking yourself, why am I abstaining? Because to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to follow his order, and of course, doing so, you nurture that consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, in order for us to really benefit from the fasting, we need not only abstain from all this, but also from all sinful thoughts and frivolous behavior, obscene talk and lewdness, all kinds of activities that are not conducive to the spirit of fasting. So what, why, how we should be fasting in order to reap the benefits? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prepared his companions to welcome Ramadan. He told them a great and most blessed month is approaching. Allah has enjoined that you fast during the day and stand up as much as possible in prayers during the night. Of course, for those who are working, they cannot stand up so many hours, but still they should make use of this. You know why? Allah is all merciful. Allah looks at our circumstances. So do what you can do, as much as you can do, given the circumstance, given the difficulty that you face in your life. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you cannot do one thing, there are other alternatives for you. If somebody cannot fast because of sickness, he can compensate for it by fidya if he is terminally ill. And also he can make dhikr, he can give charities, he can do so many other things. You can pray, he can read Quran. All of these things will compensate and make up for the deficiencies, inshallah. So real fasting is not simply abstention, it is also like a shield, a sawmu junnah. Fasting is a shield. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man lam yada qawla az-zur wa ta'am wal amal bihi falaysa lillahi haja fi an yada ta'amahu wa sharabahu." If somebody does not give up idle talk, foul talk, and actions, Allah has no need of him starving. There are many who fast, they gain nothing out of it except starvation. And there are many who stand up in prayer, they gain nothing out of it except lack of sleep. So in order to achieve these maximum benefits, we need to turn our hearts and to focus on the soul and the spirit of fasting. I don't want to prolong much. And so COVID is not an excuse. Of course, we cannot pray Tarabi in the masjid if masjid is closed, and it should be closed, but we can do it at home. Of course, you cannot read the Quran, but open your Musaf. Or what I do, I have memorized so much of Quran, but still I want to listen to your beautiful recitation. What I do is I read Fatiha, and then I play Minshavi until I finish that whole reading for that rakah. I stop and then go complete the rakah and come back and read Fatiha, and you can do the same, inshallah. This is the ruling I'm giving you, inshallah. You can make use of it. If you are not comfortable with that ruling, you take the Mus'haf and read, and also spend as much time as possible to engage in introspection. The Prophet ﷺ said, first 10 days of Ramadan are days of mercy. The middle 10 days are days of forgiveness, and the last 10 days are days of freedom from hellfire. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us. So make sure to use this month to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seek repentance. I got a question today, online. Should we ask forgiveness from our friends before Ramadan? The answer is yes, this is a good thing, because in Ramadan, back home, they tidy up everything, cleaned up in preparation for Ramadan. The same way you have to prepare, tidy up inside, get rid of those, things from inside. And so ask forgiveness of Allah, ask forgiveness of those people you have hurt, because you want to start with a clean slate, inshallah. So connect with the Quran, connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and connect with your family, share the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as possible with fellow Muslims and fellow human beings, help others, whoever is in need. This is what I have to say. Of course, you may have some questions. I would like to address them, inshallah. Did I take more time, or that's okay?
No, you were on time.
Okay, because I don't want to exceed, my.
Jazakallah khair, Amati Saib. So ഇതൊരു ഇന്ററാക്റ്റീവ് സെഷൻ ആയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും കുറെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും. നമുക്ക് ഓൾറെഡി ആദ്യം കുറച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ആ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആദ്യം ഞാൻ അമട്ടി സാഹിബിനോട് ചോദിച്ച് അത് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ഉത്തരം എല്ലാം കിട്ടിയ ശേഷം നമ്മള് അതായത് ഇപ്പം ഉള്ള പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസിന് ഇത് ഓപ്പൺ ആക്കി കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസിനോടാണ്, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്ത ശേഷം നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അദ്ദേഹത്തിനോട് നേരിട്ട് ചോദിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. ബട്ട് ആദ്യം സോറി കേക്കാമോ?
Yes.
ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ ഒന്നും കൂടി റിപ്പീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം, ക്ഷമിക്കണം, മ്യൂട്ടായി പോയത് കണ്ടില്ല. സോ ആദ്യം നമുക്ക് കുറച്ച് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഞാൻ അമ്മട്ട് സാഹിബിനോട് ചോദിക്കും. അതിന്റെ ഉത്തരം എല്ലാം കിട്ടിയ ശേഷം ഇൻഷാ അള്ളാ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസിന് നമ്മൾ ഓപ്പൺ ആക്കി കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്ത ശേഷം അവരവർക്കുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിനോട് ചോദിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസിലേക്ക് കടക്കാം ഇൻഷാ അള്ളാ. ആദ്യത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ, ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ മിക്കവാറും അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബ് ഉത്തരം പറഞ്ഞു മടുത്തായിരിക്കും. എന്നാലും ന്യൂ കമേഴ്സിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഒന്നും കൂടി ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്. What needs to be followed regarding the starting of Ramadan? What if two different masjids in my area are starting or ending Ramadan on different days?
This is the issue we faced here. I don't want to go into all those details. You can hear me?
Yes, Keka.
Okay, inshallah. Sorry, I am speaking English. That's fine, eh?
No problem.
No problem. Okay, this is the real issue. Muslims are divided over this issue. It's not there is nothing in the Sharia stopping us from following the calculation. Because if you read Quran carefully, Ash-Shamsu wal-Qamru bi-husban, sun and moon move in their computer orbits. They run in the course ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have already, and in another place Allah said, لِتَعْلَمُوا عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ وَالْحِسَابِ. You can look at these positions of the moon and the sun and make a calendar, based on their this revolution or this moving in their orbits. So that is why we already, when it came to Salah, my grandfather used to send me with a stick to measure the shadow, to determine the time of Asr. So that's why, once in Islamic Foundation, to explain why we should follow calculation, I took a stick to the masjid. And I said to them, I didn't take the stick to beat you up. I took it to tell you, this is the stick my grandfather sent me with a stick to determine the time of Asr prayer. Today, we have the calendar, your timetable hanging in the masjid. There is no difference between calculation for prayer times and calculation for beginning of fasting or ending of fasting. That is not just my understanding. So many scholars in the past as well as in the present have come to this conclusion. So what you do now, in your case, if you are attending a congregation, I would like you to choose a congregation where they have a qualified imam who is well trained, imam leading that masjid, who can, decide, this kind of issues. So if you are attending to among those masjids, follow that masjid. I don't urge you to follow Islamic Institute where I am, because you are not a member of that congregation, unless you are because of the COVID situation, you are following our decision and following our programs. In that case, you are considered to be a member of that congregation. You can follow our decision. We didn't make up this thing. This is the Fiqh Council of North America. Scholars from all over North America who are well trained in Islamic Sharia, and also they have lived here for so many decades, and also European Council of Muslim Jurists. Both bodies came to this conclusion to go by calculation. So, but having said that, if you are part of a regular congregation in the masjid, which is run according to guidelines, authentic Islamic knowledge, you follow them. But if it is just a mosque where they have reading in Arabic and they don't understand what they are reading, please don't follow them. Okay, is that answer clear or no? Clear or
okay.
No?
Okay, inshallah. Okay. Second question. Is there any hadith base for du'as we commonly hear, particularly during the 3 sets or for 3 ashras in Ramadan? Like Adiyata Pattu, Randamta Pattu, Moonamta Pattu.
No, there is no prescribed du'as, but you can read any of these du'as that are from the Prophet ﷺ anytime. There is no time limit. But Rasulullah ﷺ was asked by his beloved wife Aisha radiallahu anha, if I were to seek the night of Qadr, what should I be reading? What is the dua I should read? Rasulullah ﷺ replied, Quli Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Ya Allah, you are the forgiving. You love to forgive, so forgive me. So you can read that dua, you can read any of the other duas from the Quran, all of them, inshallah. Read as many of those duas. Almost every single day we should read some of these select duas at least. But in Ramadan it should be more, inshallah. But there is nothing prescribed that in the first 10 days you read this dua, or first 10 nights you read this dua. second 10 nights, this, no, there is nothing like that. These are all, people making up things, and we cannot make up things like that. But having said that, dua can be read anytime. We should make dhikr anytime except the time of Salah. Salah is the dhikr. When you are reading the Quran is the dhikr. Okay?
Okay. Third question. Is it okay to use eye, ear, or nose drops as part of medication during fasting? Or can I get my COVID vaccine during fasting?
Well, is it considered eating and drinking?
It isn't.
Do you nourish yourself by putting drops in your eyes or drops in your ears, or, no, or applying oil? No, these are not nourishment. This is not feeding. Kulu washrabu, eat and drink. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, eat and drink and abstain from gratifications, but this does not come in that category. But having said that, some of the fuqaha in the past went into extreme. They say anything that enters inside, that break the fast. This is a very weak principle they are applying, because none of these things go to your stomach actually. Vaccination doesn't go to your stomach. So inoculation, injection, unless it is you are administering nutrients through this glucose, that will break the fast, definitely. Nutrients and entering your system, and it is nourishing you, it is giving you that energy. If you are in that state where you need that kind of nutrients or glucose, you don't need to fast. You should break your fast. But COVID vaccination or any kind of injection, flu shots, they would not break the fast. Period. Okay. That is the reliable ruling. And I am answering this question in live fatwa I have about Islam on Monday. I have some of these questions there.
അമ്മട്ട് സാഹിബിന്റെ കൂടെ ഒന്ന് അത് എന്റെ ഒരു സംശയമാണ്. ബ്ലഡ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്താല് പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാവോ? നമ്മൾ നോമ്പെടുക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് ബ്ലഡ് എടുക്കുമ്പോ പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാവോ?
Yes, you can take blood, but too much blood may make you weak. If it will make you weak, then you should postpone it until you break your fast. But taking blood, no, it wouldn't break. No, by itself.
Okay. Thank you. Another question. If I couldn't make up for last year's missed fast, what should I do before this Ramadan? And do I need to make up my last year's missed fast before this Ramadan, even if I gave a fidya for that?
Fidya is only for those who are not able to make up because they are terminally ill. Or you are, in the case of women, some scholars said, if somebody is pregnant and the child breastfeeding, immediately another pregnancy and things like that, in that case, they can give that fidya. And later on, even these scholars say later on, when you pass that age and you are, comfortable, then you should make up for that. Understand? So somebody who is healthy, who is not in situation like that, is not terminally ill, and not diabetic. In case of diabetic people, there are some. I've been fasting. My wife has been diabetic for many, many years. Fasting does not affect us. We have been fasting. So some people may be different. So they have to consult their physicians, because in these matters, go by the advice of your trustworthy physician. Sometimes some physicians are against this kind of fasting, so don't listen to them. But anytime you fast and you are feeling you are diabetic, you are feeling your sugar level going down, you should immediately break your fast, because that's because Allah want to ease the hardship. But having said that, hardship, anybody fasting will have some hardship, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if the sickness is worsened because of fasting, then one should not be fasting. One should, until he or she becomes healthy. If they become healthy later, they should make up. Otherwise, if they are in a continuous sickness like diabetic or whatever, they may not hope, complete recovery, they should offer fidya. That is, otherwise they should make up. If somebody could not make up until the next Ramadan, they should make up for it later on. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, inshallah. And no harm in giving some extra fidya now, because in case if you die without, completing that, then it is on you as a debt unpaid. That's why.
Okay, okay, inshallah. Okay, next question. Can I fast 6 days in Shawwal before making up my missed fast in Ramadan?
Well, we are Shafiites, isn't it? So we have a easier solution. So easier solution is you can make the double niyyah. Double niyyah you are making up, and also you want to get that reward. And Allah is merciful. So Hanafi would do well to change into Shafi in this one. Okay, so I'm just humorously, there's nothing wrong with that. Allah is merciful. We have this kind of ruling in Shafi school. Yes, yatadakhalan. You can make two niyyah in one. So you are making up for, and also you want that reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for fasting the 6 days of Shawwal. Yes, inshallah. Okay. But if you want to be strict on yourself, you don't want to follow, it's up to you. Then you do more, inshallah.
Okay. Next question. I would like to know about the Zakat Al-Fitr and its rulings. Can I give Zakat Al-Fitr after Eid? Is that necessary to give Zakat Al-Fitr where we live? Or do I need to give Zakat Al-Fitr for a minor member in my family?
Zakat Al-Fitr should be given in advance before, because, the purpose of Zakat Al-Fitr is to help the poor prepare themselves to celebrate Eid properly. So if you are sending the money abroad, where you are coming from India, for instance, we are coming from India, and we have our own family, our circles who are very, very poor. So you may decide to send that money there. But having said that, not everybody should do that, because we have deserving people here also. So many of the people will be giving money here, but no harm for people who came here and they have relatives who are poor, who need to be helped in celebrating Eid. We can send that money there. Nothing wrong with that. Especially we are living in Canada. There is not much starvation here. Understand? So there is a flexible ruling by the scholars given, so we can follow that. Okay, but it should be given in way before, so that they can make use of this, this money. Okay.
Okay. Next part, can I give Zakat Al-Fitr for a minor member in my family?
On behalf of my minor, that is what the question. Zakat Al-Fitr should be paid on behalf of every member in the family. So if I have myself, my wife, and 4 children who are not independent, I should give on behalf of everyone. But in my case, all of my children are grown up and they are independent. They give for themselves and their children. I would only give on behalf of myself and my wife. Most of the time we send it abroad to India. Sometimes because of the case in Yemen, we send it there. Zakah, we send it to Yemen or whatever. This is something you should decide for yourself, but it should be given on behalf of every minor in the family. But we don't need to give zakah on behalf of someone who is independent, mature person working out living, and they should pay for it for themselves.
Okay. Next question. What is the ruling in giving zakah to an eligible non-Muslim?
Zakah, unlike sadaqah, is given to Muslims mainly, unless this non-Muslim is inclined towards Islam. This person is studying Islam, as inclined to consider it. In that case, you may give zakat to him. Otherwise, this intention is that zakat should be taken from the rich among, in the community and given to the community, the people who are poor in the community. Sadaqah can be given to Muslim and non-Muslim.
Okay.
That is the,
Okay. Inshallah. Okay. Next question. Are relatives in debt eligible for zakat? Uncle, for example.
It all depends. The uncle is in debt because of extravagant spending. That's not a very good idea to give. If somebody's uncle is in debt and they cannot, pay for the education of the children or struggling to pay their rent and things like that, surely they are eligible to give zakat, definitely. But if there is a fear that this person will continue to incur bigger and bigger debt, because I heard, one day they hold a posh wedding, take a loan from the bank to do that. This is not Islamic way. We have become, completely, materialistic and consume, overspending money. We should not make these people addicted to this kind of spending. So consider this uncle is, of course, if he has changed his behavior and in the past he has incurred this kind of debt, then of course you can help him out from zakah. This is one of the categories of the recipients of zakah, wal gharimin, those who are burdened with debts. To help them out, you can give from zakah, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Next question. Is there any authentic hadith mentioning the first 10 is for mercy, second 10 is for forgiveness, and third 10 is for protection from hellfire?
This is a tradition, but the idea itself has been, recognized as valid. But whether the isnad goes back strictly to the Prophet ﷺ is questionable, actually. But the idea itself is considered sound. It's telling us that symbolically, that the whole of Ramadan, once a person goes through this entire training, he will get that award of freedom from hellfire. There are things, there are parables, symbolic. So that's the idea there. Some of these things we should not be looking at it literally. We should look at it, this is a way of talking about spiritual matters, which are abstract, isn't it? I hope. So it's not by isnad, it's not a authentic tradition. If that is the answer, yes. But the idea itself has been, Salafus Salih and others use it. So they use it for teaching method, to impart this idea that the whole of Ramadan is like a training course. There is a warm-up and there is an intense, and then there is, of course, then the whole examination and things like that. And the result is what? Freedom from hellfire, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, add the question. Okay, can you give us suggestions on how to maximize ibadah during Ramadan, especially while having long days of fasting and a hectic work schedule?
This is, we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After all, Allah, when we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beg His help and mercy and grace, surely He will turn towards us. Unless you have some condition, physical challenges, medical challenges, health challenges, you should be determined to fast and do your work. But if you are working outside in the summer condition, hot weather, and you become exhausted, dehydrated, or I got a question yesterday from a surgeon, performing surgery on so many patients, I lose that concentration. Should I break my fast? I would say you should break your fast, because you may endanger the life, your judgment is impaired. You need that sound judgment. So you should break your fast, and you should make up for it when you're, you are not in that situation. Inshallah, you should make up for it later on. So people in these kind of conditions, they are allowed to break, and they should make up for it. Otherwise, they should be, organize their time. Maybe some of this work can be done at night, inshallah. Yes, and also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time, there are habits that you can break in Ramadan, if you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many of those people who used to smoke, for instance, they, break this habit. Cold turkey, they say. Cold turkey meaning without any medication. How? Because you believe Allah will help you. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. Every time you have that urge to smoke, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. Make that dhikr, and of course you will have no difficulty in breaking that habit. Like that, you have these bad habits, break these habits. Ramadan is the perfect time to break those bad habits. A frivolous, wastage of time, on the social media or whatever. Many of this, time that we waste, we should prioritize the way we use our time and organize our time, organize our goals. And Ramadan is the time to take stock of our life, where we are heading. If we were to die now, if I'm going to die now, will I be able to stand before my Lord and say, you gave me life, O Allah, and I used it as you wanted me to use it? So this is the question each one of us should ask now. Where am I heading now? If I die today, it could happen now. It could happen anytime. People, even young people, are dying. Sometimes COVID, sometimes other conditions. They collapse and die. So I should ask this question, you should ask this question, and then inshallah we will have a better way of handling this kind of issues, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Okay. Next question. What is the verdict for fasting that couldn't be done? Okay, അത് നിങ്ങള് already answer ചെയ്താണ്. എന്നാലും ഞാൻ just ഒന്ന് ഓടിച്ചു വായിച്ചേക്കാം. What is the verdict for fasting that couldn't be done during pregnancy and breastfeeding? First year, is fidya alone enough, or do we need to complete those fast? അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞത് പിന്നീട് സമയം കിട്ടുമ്പോ അത് മേക്കപ്പ് ചെയ്യണം.
That is better.
Inshallah. Okay.
Like my mother, she gave birth 12 children. The gap was 1.5. In that case, she could not have fasted like that. Of course, then she could fast later on, when, that is over. And, if she is living, that would be, but otherwise she should, at that time, fidya should be given, and hope that in case if she dies before that, it's taken care of. But if after menopause there is this condition is, people can make up for it, inshallah. Okay.
പക്ഷേ നമ്മള് ഫിദ്യ എന്തായാലും കൊടുക്കണം, then you have to make it up later. അങ്ങനെയല്ലേ?
Yeah, that is better. That is
okay. Okay.
Of course, there is other ruling also. I'm just giving you, this is the preferred ruling.
Okay, okay, inshallah. Okay. ഇപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ചോദിക്കണേലുള്ള last question, inshallah. Since it's anyways not standing in saf, can we follow the online live Tarabi at home?
Online Tarabi. Yes, where? From your masjid? From where? From the haram?
I think it's from the local masjid. Adu parnetilla.
Well, if you are part of the masjid there and Imam is reading, and then I am giving you this kind of a relaxed ruling, but there will be other scholars who will say it's not allowed. But why I would justify that, if you go to the haram now, Imam is leading in the haram, and in the hotels, the Hajjis follow the Imam, and they are following the Imam through this stream, TV monitor and the voice, and they are also seeing the lines flowing from the masjid. Okay, so if this prayer from your local masjid is streamed, I would say in your unprecedented situation now that we are facing, it's allowed. Okay, but don't follow the haram imam. Understand?
അല്ല എന്തായാലും ഓൺലൈൻ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യാമെങ്കിൽ ഹറമില് തന്നെ ഫോളോ ചെയ്ത് കളയാന്ന് വേണ്ടെന്നല്ലേ, നമ്മളെ ലോക്കൽ മസ്ജിദില് ആണെങ്കിൽ
ലോക്കൽ മസ്ജിദ്.
ഇൻഷാല്ല. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഇത്രയും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് ഇപ്പൊ എനിക്ക് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇപ്പൊ അടുത്തതായിട്ട് നമ്മളെ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസിന് ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ഡയറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ചോദിക്കാനുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നേരിട്ട് അമോട്ട് സാഹിബിനോട് ചോദിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹത്തോട് ചോദിക്കാം.
ഇൻഷാല്ലാ.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Saib. So I had this question for years. It's regarding work and fasting, especially like in healthcare. Now, when like prayer times, so Alhamdulillah, we live in a country where like I never had issues getting permission to go and pray or take breaks. But there can be situation, especially like the Fajr prayer. It's a short span. And if some emergency comes during that time, we can't say, oh, my Fajr time is going to end, and maybe we might miss the timings for Fajr time. So if this happens while fasting, if we are not able to pray during the prescribed time, will it void the fast?
It doesn't void the fast. No, definitely. It doesn't void your fast, because fasting is different from Salah. Salah itself, of course, you should be, praying within that flexible time, when the time first break of dawn until sunrise, it should be done as much as possible within that time. But if you could not do that because of a special circumstance, you may qala, you will make up for it later on and ask forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has nothing to do with your fasting. Your fasting is valid, inshallah.
Okay, just a follow-up fiqhi question. I know you might have gotten this a lot. Like, during wudu, we rub the socks and shoes. Especially, I have seen here some people doing on the legs, but they spoil the whole bathroom. And I have heard non-Muslims talking about that. Like, so.
You know what happened? I faced this issue. As an imam, I got these questions from corporate offices. People are messing up the sink, and this is very, very bad. So I gave the ruling to these people in the masjids and on the forums, fatwa forums, that you should wear a thick socks. Make wudu when you go out and put on that thick socks, and you can wipe on it until you come back from your work. You can do that for 24 hours. Of course, you will not be wearing it. You will not be working 24 hours. So you should be wiping. And it would be definitely a sin on your part to give the bad impression, because this will really put off these people, and you will turn them away from Islam. And we should not do that. There is flexibility. But I had to dispute with one Maulana on this issue. He said it can only be done on leather socks. I said, in that case, how did you come to Canada? Did you, by camel or plane? He said, by plane. Okay, would you be praying qasr and jam in plane? Yes. I said, why? The Prophet used camel, and while he was, making qasr. The same way, did Prophet say it's only leather socks? He never said that. The reason he prescribed that is it's, people wear this thing to protect themselves from heat, cold, or dust and cold, things like that. So it's inconvenience. They are inconvenienced by taking it off every time. So the Prophet ﷺ gave that allowance, and we can make use of that allowance. Having said that, If when rubbing, water, wet hand on it, if water seeps through, then definitely it's not a thick socks. So you should not be using that. Okay. So anything, and we have a lot of precedent from the Sahaba itself. They were not limiting themselves to wiping on leather. There are other traditions that they used to, any wrapper they used to, wipe on it. As long as it's wrapping, covering that feet, you can. And of course, they wipe over the turban also. Understand? Yes, and khimar, women used to wipe on the khimar as well. Yes, inshallah.
Oh, Ambati Sahib, ഈ question ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ ഖിമാറിന്റെ മോളില് ഇതാക്കിയാ അപ്പൊ മുടീനെ ടച്ച് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് ഇല്ല. നമ്മൾ ജോലി സ്ഥലത്താണെങ്കിൽ മുടീനെ ടച്ച് ചെയ്യണമെന്നുണ്ടോ?
കുറച്ചിങ്ങനെ ആക്കിയിട്ട് ടച്ച് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ബാക്കി അതങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാം.
ഓക്കെ 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 ഓക്കെ. സോറി, ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഞാൻ മിസ്സായി പോയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, അതൊന്ന് ക്വിക്ക് ആയിട്ട് ചോദിച്ചേക്കാം.
സുഹൈലിന് വേറെ ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഉണ്ടോന്ന് സംശയം അദ്ദേഹം.
ഓ സോറി.
ഇല്ല. I'll give chance to others.
Okay.
ഞാൻ ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ മിസ്സായതൊന്ന് ചോദിച്ചോട്ടെ. Is suhoor fard of fasting? If I didn't wake up for suhoor, can I continue with fasting?
Surely you can continue, inshallah.
Okay.
But suhoor, there is barakah. You should not do that intentionally. We should use good alarm clock.
Okay. നമ്മള് 9:30 മുമ്പായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പൊ പ്ലീസ് പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസിന് വേറെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ വേഗം ചോദിക്കാവുന്നതാണ് ഇൻഷാല്ലാ.
Assalamu alaikum. So I just have a question, because this is exam season for those of us who are still in school. And I understand that we should, still try to keep our fast, considering it's an obligation. But if we're in a circumstance where we have rigorous exams that are 5 hours long and there's 2 or 3 of them back to back, if we're in a circumstance where we're not able to, focus on the exam because of exhaustion, is there an option of breaking our fast and making it up if it comes down to that?
It is a rigorous, 5, if you said 5 hours, comprehensive exams for PhD is like that. It's very, very extensive, the medical, and the law exams and things like that. And this is once, every 4 years, this happening like that. Of course, then that is a challenging situation. In that case, we can make use of that. People who are doing the extreme, exhaustive, hard work, labor work outside, they are excused from, they can skip the fasting in the same way surgeons. So the same excuse can be, they can, in that situation, a student facing this kind of rigorous exam and cannot concentrate and is going to jeopardize the future, definitely they can be excused, and they should make up for it later on. Is that clear?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Inshallah.
5 more minutes കൂടി ഉണ്ട്. ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ചോദിക്കാവുന്നതാണ്.
Assalamu alaikum. So, my question is, during Tarabi prayer, is it okay to recite Quran from mobile phone? Like if I don't remember, is it okay?
Yes, iPhone, that one is a library, like a library. You have a mushaf there. So you are opening that mushaf in the iPhone. So you can do that, inshallah. You can do that. But don't go don't go into other things. Okay?
Oh yeah. Inshallah. And is it the same ruling for the obligatory? Sorry.
It is, if you are reading tahajjud or Tarabi prayer, but for fardhu salah, you shouldn't do that. You don't need to read
only for the sunnah prayer.
Yeah, only for Tarabi. iPhone is the device you are using. You become addicted to it now. So Okay, so do that. Nothing wrong with that, inshallah.
Jazakallah.
Okay, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shazin. My question is it okay in Nawafil prayer, is it okay for the wife to lead the prayer if she is a better Qari or if she's a Hufa?
Can you repeat that question? I couldn't.
In Nawafil prayer, can a wife lead the prayer if she is a better Qari or if she's a Hafiz?
Well, you know, we have a tradition from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the hadith of Baraka. She was a woman, a scholar of Quran, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed as imam to lead the family in prayer, and the Prophet appointed a muezzin for her who was an elderly man. So based on this hadith, Imam Ibn Jarir Tabari and others, some others say that in cases like this, a woman, you know, and that this question, you know, I was forced to research this issue when I was in Jami Mosque. A lady married a new Muslim. He is just fresh to Islam, and this lady is almost a semi-scholar, not a full scholar, but she knows Quran, she knows. This man doesn't know even how to read Fatiha. So this question was asked to me, so I had to dig deep into the sources, and I said, yes, in this case, she should be leading the prayer. So, of course, I would go a step further in situation like Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said that a woman can lead Tarabi prayer. Yes, in situation like that. If she is a Hafidah, if she is, a professional reciter, and especially in a family situation, that can be allowed. Okay, but of course, having said that, if you are a strict follower of Shafi school or what, if you are strictly following one single school, then it's not allowed according to the rules of madhab. But you know, all these madhabs, you should look at them. These are all different options within this religion of Islam. It's a sign of divine mercy. And all of the eminent scholars have said, if you find it hard to follow strictly one school in one issue, you can take the option in another school. So I would use this concession in a situation like that, where in the family, the woman is a reciter of Quran. So it's not good for her husband who doesn't even know how to read Quran properly to lead the Salah, especially Tarabi prayer. Of course, he should be leading in Farli if he can read well, inshallah. But Tarabi, she should, and that's not just my ruling. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah already have ruled this before, and he is a great mujtahid. He's a muhaddis also. So we can make use of this kind of concessions, inshallah.
Jazakallah.
Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
Inshallah.
Okay, sorry. അപ്പൊ ഇനിയും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവും എന്ന് അറിയാം, പക്ഷെ നമുക്ക് വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. 9:30 ആയി ഓൾറെഡി. ഞാൻ MMAC VP ഓഫ് ഇവന്റ്സ് മിസ്റ്റർ സലീം ഷെയ്ഖിന് കൈമാറാണ്. മൂപ്പരെ 2 വാക്ക് സംസാരിച്ചിട്ട് നമ്മൾ സെഷൻ വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ചെയ്യാണ് ഇൻഷാല്ലാ. സലീം, സബ് ടു യു.
ഇൻഷാല്ലാ. കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ?
കേൾക്കാം.
ഓക്കെ. അൽഹംദുലില്ലാഹ് വസ്സലാത്തു വസ്സലാമു അലാ റസൂലിൽ അമീൻ വഅലാ ആലിഹി വസ്ഹബിഹി അജ്മഈൻ. സ്നേഹാദരനായ ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് കുട്ടി സാഹിബ്, സഹോദരി സഹോദരന്മാരെ, അസ്സലാമു അലൈക്കും. നമുക്ക് 2 ദിവസം കൂടി ഇനിയുള്ളൂ നമുക്ക് റമദാനിലേക്ക്. ആ ഒരു സമയത്ത് അൽഹംദുലില്ലാഹ് നമുക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ കൂടാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞത് അല്ലാഹു സുബ്ഹാനഹു വ തആല നമുക്കതിന് വലിയൊരു സൗഭാഗ്യമാണ്. റമദാനിലെ അടുക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫീല് കിട്ടാൻ ഇൻഷാ അല്ലാഹ് ഇത് വലിയൊരു ഉപകാരമാവും എന്നാണ് പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് നമുക്ക് പള്ളികൾ ഓപ്പൺ ആയിട്ടില്ല. അത്തരം ഒരുപാട് പ്രതികൂല സാഹചര്യങ്ങളിലൂടെയാണ് നമ്മൾ കടന്നു പോകുന്നത്. ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ സ്പീച്ചിന്റെ അവസാനം പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു പോയിന്റിനെ മാത്രം എടുത്തു പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് ആണ് ഇത് അവസാനിപ്പിക്കാന്നാണ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. ഷെയ്ഖ് അബ്ദുൽ സാഹിബ് പറയുന്നുണ്ടായി അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ അവസാനത്തെ ആ സ്പീച്ചിന്റെ ഒരു അവസാന ഭാഗത്ത് പറയുന്നത്, നമ്മുടെ സമയം എങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ചെലവഴിക്കുന്നത്, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് റമദാനിലെ ഈ സമയം അള്ളാഹുമായിട്ട് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ അടുത്ത് ആവാനുള്ള ഏറ്റവും നല്ല സമയം, അതെങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ചെലവഴിക്കുന്നത്, നമ്മുടെ കുടുംബവുമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് ചെലവഴിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നു, നമുക്ക് സമൂഹത്തിന് വേണ്ടി എങ്ങനെ ചെലവഴിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നു നമ്മുടെ സമയവും നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതവും ഒക്കെ. ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു സൂഫി കഥ അതുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെടുത്തി പറയാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. ചരിത്ര നഗരമായ ബാഗ്ദാദിലെ ഒരു പള്ളിയിൽ ഒരു സൂഫി വരികയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ആ പള്ളിയിലെ അവിടുത്തെ മീസാൻ കല്ലിലെ അദ്ദേഹത്തെ അത്ഭുതപ്പെടുത്തണം. ആ മീസാൻ കല്ല് എഴുതി വെച്ച ഒരു രീതി, അതിൽ ഇങ്ങനെയാണ് രേഖപ്പെടുത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതായത് ഓരോ മരിച്ച ഖബറിന്റെ മേലുള്ള മീസാൻ കല്ലിലും അവരുടെ പേരും അവർ ജീവിച്ച കാലയളവും എഴുതപ്പെട്ട് കിടക്കുന്നുണ്ടായി. മുഹമ്മദ് ബിൻ അബീബക്കർ ജീവിതകാലം 6 മാസം, അബ്ദുറഹ്മാൻ ബിൻ സെയ്ദ് ജീവിതകാലം 2 മാസം, ഹസൻ ബിൻ ഹുസൈൻ ജീവിതകാലം 10 ദിവസം. ഈ സൂഫി വര്യന് വലിയൊരു അത്ഭുതം തോന്നി. അദ്ദേഹം ആ പള്ളിയിലെ ഇമാമിനോട് പോയി ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്, എന്താണ് ഈ നാട്ടിലെ ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ ആകെ ഇത്രയും ചെറിയ കാലം മാത്രമേ ജീവിച്ചിരിക്കാറുള്ളൂ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പം പള്ളിയിലെ ഇമാമ് പറയാണ്, അങ്ങനെയല്ല, ഇവിടെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ ജീവിതകാലം ദീർഘിച്ചത് തന്നെയാണ്. പക്ഷെ അവരുടെ ജീവിതകാലത്തിൽ ചെയ്ത നന്മ എത്രയാണോ അതാണ് അവരുടെ ജീവിതകാലമായിട്ട് ആ മീസാൻ കല്ലിന്റെ മേലെ അടയാളപ്പെടുത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളതെന്നാണ്. ഈ സൂഫി വര്യന് വളരെ ഇഷ്ടമായി ആ ഒരു സംഭവം. അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞു, ഞാൻ ഇനിയുള്ള എൻ്റെ ജീവിതകാലം ഞാൻ ഈ നാട്ടിൽ കഴിയുകയാണ്. ഞാൻ മരണപ്പെട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്നെ ഇവിടെ ഖബറടക്കണം. എന്നിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ എഴുതണം, പേര് സുഫിയാൻ സൗരി, ഇദ്ദേഹം ജനിച്ചിട്ടേയില്ല. നമ്മുടെ റമദാൻ ഈ സൂഫി പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ ജനിച്ചിട്ടേയില്ല അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ജീവിച്ചിട്ടേയില്ല എന്നുള്ള ഒരു രീതിയിൽ ആവാതിരിക്കാൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കണം. ഇൻഷാ അല്ലാഹ് നമുക്ക് ജീവിതത്തെ അടയാളപ്പെടുത്താൻ സാധിക്കണം. അത് അള്ളാഹുവുമായിട്ടുള്ള ബന്ധത്തിലൂടെയും നമ്മുടെ കുടുംബ ബന്ധങ്ങളിലൂടെയും നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹവുമായിട്ടുള്ള നമ്മുടെ ബാധ്യതകളിലൂടെയും നമുക്ക് ഈ റമദാനിനെ പൂർണ്ണമായി അടയാളപ്പെടുത്താൻ സാധിക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. അതിന് ഉതകുന്ന വിധത്തിലുള്ള അൽഹംദുലില്ലാ നമുക്ക് അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു സെഷനാണ് ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബ് നമുക്ക് തന്നത്. ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബ് നമുക്കറിയാം 40 വർഷത്തോളം ഈ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയിൽ ജീവിച്ചതാണ്. നമുക്ക് ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ മാത്രമാണ് നമ്മൾ കേൾക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ ഈ സമൂഹത്തിൽ ജീവിക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ട തയ്യാറെടുപ്പുകളും അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ നമ്മൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒരു പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടെ കൂടിയിരിക്കുന്നവരുടെ ഇവിടുത്തെ തുടങ്ങിയ ജീവിതകാലം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത് ഒരു ഏവറേജ് 10 വർഷത്തിൽ കുറവായിരിക്കും. അതിനു മുമ്പുള്ള 30 വർഷം അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബും അദ്ദേഹത്തെ പോലുള്ള ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബും അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഇബ്രാഹിം സാഹിബും മർച്ചന്റ് സാഹിബും അവരുടെ ഫാമിലിയും ഒക്കെ ഈ സമൂഹത്തെ നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി പരിമപ്പെടുത്തി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ നന്ദിപൂർവ്വം ഓർക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ അവരുടെ ആയുസ്സും അവരുടെ ആരോഗ്യവും നമുക്ക് കൂടി പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടതാണ്. അത് അല്ലാഹു സുബ്ഹാനഹു വ തആല ദീർഘിച്ചു കൊടുക്കട്ടെ. നമുക്കും നമ്മുടെ വരുന്ന ജനറേഷനും കൂടി അവരെ കൂടെ ജീവിക്കാനും ഇതുപോലുള്ള സെഷനുകൾ അവരുടെ കൂടെ പങ്കെടുക്കാനുള്ള സൗഭാഗ്യം ഉണ്ടാവട്ടെ എന്ന് പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുകയാണ്. അതോടുകൂടെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ പാരൻസ്, നമ്മളിൽ നിന്ന് വിട്ടുപോയ നമ്മുടെ മാതാപിതാക്കള്, പിന്നെ അസുഖബാധിതരായിരിക്കുന്ന മാതാപിതാക്കള്, അവർക്ക് വേണ്ടിയും നമ്മൾ പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുക. അവരുമായുള്ള ബന്ധങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റവും സുദൃഢമാക്കി നിലനിർത്താൻ ശ്രമിക്കുക. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഇമാമുമാര് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഷെയ്ഖ് അഹമ്മദ് സാഹിബും ഇബ്രാഹിം സാഹിബും ഒക്കെ ഉൾപ്പെടുന്ന ഈ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ഒരുപക്ഷെ കനേഡിയൻ മലയാളി മുസ്ലിം എന്ന നിലയിലുള്ള ഒരു സ്വകാര്യ അഹങ്കാരമായിട്ട് വേണമെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് കൊണ്ടുപോയി നടക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നതാണ്. നമ്മളൊക്കെ ഇവരുടെ കൂടെ ജീവിക്കാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഇവരുടെ കൂടെ നമുക്ക് ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഇവരുടെ ഉപദേശവും നിർദ്ദേശവും ഒക്കെ ഉൾക്കൊണ്ടുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് ജീവിക്കാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമുക്ക് ഒരുപക്ഷെ ഇപ്പം മനസ്സിലാവാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ ഇവരെ നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്ന സമയത്തായിരിക്കും ഒരുപക്ഷെ നമ്മളത് തിരിച്ചറിയുക. അത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ അത് വൈകാതെ തന്നെ അറിയേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. ഇൻഷാ അല്ലാഹ് അത്തരത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് കാര്യങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ അല്ലാഹു സുബ്ഹാനഹു വ തആല തൗഫീഖ് നൽകുമാറാകട്ടെ. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.
Inshallah, we are leaving. Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام.
Alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us in His mercy. May Allah forgive us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give success to all of our students who are struggling in the studies. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspire them to achieve excellence in their studies and, you know, seek, get positions that are meaningful, that will be rewarding in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that will help them and their families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a joy for our family, for our children, for our parents and grandparents, uncles and aunts. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on Siddiq Hasan Sahib, Professor Siddiq Hasan Sahib, who died a few days ago, and all those who have passed away, our uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters, and, you know, everyone who has passed away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower them with His mercies. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send down light, illuminate their graves. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make their graves a garden of the paradise, a piece of the garden of paradise. Allahumma afsah lahum fi quburihim, Allahumma ghfir lahum warhamhum, Allahumma afihim wa'afu anhum, Allahumma akrim nuzlahum, Allahumma wassi madkhalahum, Allahumma ghsilhum bil ma'i wal thalji wal barad, Allahumma adkhilhum al jannah, waqihim fitnat al qabri wa adhab an nar. Amin.